Hi, welcome back to the JavaScript series. In this video, we'll be discussing JavaScript variables and data types with some real-world examples to help you understand their practical applications. Let's learn. Welcome back. My name is Wilfred, and I make YouTube videos to explain programming topics. If you find any of my videos useful, please like and comment. Also share for other people to learn as well. And don't forget to subscribe as that will help this channel grow. Alright, a better way to describe variables is by using an example. And let's imagine we are an online vendor. The daily process of our business would involve getting orders from our clients and then fulfilling those orders by packaging the order and sending them to the client. Now, we're going to focus on a very important part here, which is the packaging part. So let's take a look. Let's say we package this order in a box. So I have a box here like this. This is not a very good looking box, but yeah. So this is our box. And what we'll do is put in the order here. So let's say the items that the person ordered and get it ready to be shipped to the customer. But there's a very important part that we cannot miss out on, which is the labeling part. We need to tell the customer or indicate what is inside this package or this box. So we'll label it phones. Let's say the person purchased phones. So in programming terms, this package or this box here is what we refer to as variables. Variables are boxes that store items or values. Now, depending on the kind of items we store in this box, they can also belong to a particular section or category of stuff. We can have different types of items in our box. So let's say, for instance, these phones belongs to the accessory sections, right? The accessories are contain phones and tablets and other stuff. So we can also have let's say gadgets or any other category of items that we can as well store in a particular box. So this category of items is what we refer to in programming terms as data types. Data types. So the types of item being stored in a particular box is the data type, and values of a variable, which is the item itself, right? Variables have values, and which is the item in our example here, and this item belong to a certain category which we call data type. So variables, data type, and items. So variables are basically the box. Data types are the types of value that we store inside this box. Data types in JavaScript exist in two different groups. We have the primitive types, which includes numbers, strings, boolean values, which are true and false, and so on. We also have the reference types, which are functions, arrays, and objects. At some point, you might come across some terms like JavaScript being a loosely typed language. Well, what does that mean? It means JavaScript does not care if you state kind of variable you are creating in terms of data type. You don't need to specify the data type of the variable you are creating. Unlike some languages like Java, where you have to state if it is a boolean you're creating or an integer. The way we create variables in JavaScript involves three different things. The first one is the initializer. The second one is the name of the variable or the ID or identifier to be short. Name or identifier, and we then assign it a value. Now, JavaScript itself does not care what value we assign to our variable. Under the hood, it will automatically assign the data type to it. Now, the initializer in JavaScript exists in three forms. We have the var, let, and const. And JavaScript has some rules to how you name your variables or how to create variables. And then the value basically depends on what you want the variable to do for you or the kind of value you want the variable to store. So let's take a look at a practical example. All right, I have my code editor opened on the left and my browser on the right. And I have my console opened up here. To do that, you just right click on your mouse when you are on your web page and click on inspect. And this, let me do it here, inspect, and this right here will open up for you. Then you will choose the one you want to navigate to. You can see there are a bunch of options here, but what I did is I click on console. So we'll be doing different operations in this console. So let me go back to my browser. The styling on this web page is basically here. What I did is I just wrote some basic text in HTML and then added some CSS to it, then some JavaScript linked. Before we look at the different data types in JavaScript in practice, let's take a look at the different naming convention. So the first one being giving a readable name or a very meaningful name to your variable. So let's say you're coding with somebody and you give a name like let x equal to banana. Now this variable, although it will make sense to you, it wouldn't mean much to someone who is also reading your code later on. So the best way to go about this is actually naming your variable with the actual or a meaningful name. Call this fruit, which is actually good. So to look at this in the console, we just type console.log. So we have it here, and then we put in the name of our variable there so that we can look at it in the browser. So let's refresh, and then we can see in the console here, banana is being logged for us. Now, a second convention here is to name your variables in camel case. What does this mean? It means every word after the first, okay, let's say you have a compound name for your variable which contains two words or more than a word. So this, to name the variable, you can say you can type the first name in small characters or small letters, and then the following words that follow that name will have their first letter in capitals. So fruits, let's say juice, for instance. So we'll type it like this with the first letter of the second word in capitals. Another rule is that you cannot start variables with a number. So when we type number, you can see automatically our code editor is telling us that this variable is not, that's not the right way. So an identifier or keyword cannot immediately follow a numeric literal, which basically means starting variables with numbers will cause trouble. Let's take a look at that in our browser. So we can see an error here. So it will give us an error automatically. Now, a second one is creating variables with symbols. So you cannot do something like this. It will also give you an error. This is not allowed as well. So refresh, you can see it's not allowed. Another rule to be careful of is reserved keywords. Reserved keywords are basically keywords that JavaScript uses to actually help us write code. For instance, when we want to create a function, we use the word function in JavaScript and followed by the name of the function let me put fn, and then followed by whatever code we want to write here, log hello, right? So this is how we create functions in JavaScript. But when we are creating our variable, we cannot name our variable function like this. Now, this will tell us that this function is already a reserved keyword and we cannot use it. That's why we can see this error showing up here. When we refresh the page, it says on code syntax error, unexpected token function. So you cannot put function as the name of your variable. All right, let's look at data types in practice. So we let me put data types is, and let's start with the first one, which is a string. So you can declare variables. By the way, to create variables in programming means declaring them. So you declare a variable and then assign it a value. So the value we are going to assign to this variable here is a string. And to create strings, you can basically use a single quote or double quote. That's all strings are in JavaScript. So you can put anything in the string. And then when you log this value here, sorry, I removed my console log, console.log here, data types, save and refresh. We can see the value here. Okay, let me make it more sensible. So let me put hello world, hello world. Boom. That's it there. Hello world. So that's a string. A string can come in different forms. So you can put numbers here. JavaScript will not see this as a number. It is also a string. And to test this, we can also use, a JavaScript method called the type of console.log. Let's log this one. Let's say type of these data types here. And when we refresh, boom, it tells us that it is a string. Another data type we should look at is numbers. So let's type in. So to write numbers in JavaScript or to create numbers in JavaScript, you just type the number without the quotation marks. Otherwise, it will read it as a string. Let's refresh our page. Then we can see the number here, and you can see that the type is number. And let's look at one last one, which is the Boolean value. And I said it's either true or false. So let's use true because we don't lie here. All right. So, okay. Now this is the true value showing up in our console, and it is the Boolean type. All right. Also remember that an empty string is still a string. So like we have it here, I've already saved my file. When you refresh the browser, you can see the type of data type is still a string. Let's touch on one primitive reference type here, which is the array. To create arrays, you basically use two square brackets, and then you put in any data type you want, followed by a comma, and you can mix everything here. This is a string. You can put in everything here. That's a number. We put in a number, and let's put one more, which is a Boolean. Let's put false here. So when we save and refresh our page, we can see our array is being logged for us, and we can see all the values inside. And you can see the prototype here that it is an array, and this is a quite advanced or maybe intermediate level topic. But I'll be covering all of this. Don't worry about it. It's an array. And the type of data type here, you can see that it's logging objects, which is also another topic to discuss later on. Let me also quickly touch on the loosely typed nature of JavaScript. You see this variable we created here. Initially, it is a Boolean. So what JavaScript allows us to do is to also assign different values to this variable. Let's see. Initially, this variable was a Boolean. So we can also do something like this and set the value to false. Okay, let me say this is a string. Christ. All right, when you refresh, you can see this is a string is showing up. So what this means that this is a string has actually replaced the value that we initially assigned to this data type. So JavaScript does something really cool. So first of all, it says, okay, this variable is a Boolean. It sets it to be a Boolean. But then later in the code, as the code runs line by line, it sees another value variable here. And it says, okay, this variable is no longer a Boolean value. So what is it now? It figures it out. There's quotation mark, there's something inside. So this is a string, then it changes the value to a string. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. Please, if this video helps you, like and please share for others to see. And also don't forget to subscribe.